On the morning of October 10, 2025, the usually calm neighborhood of Lincoln Square in Chicago awoke to chaos and confusion. Masked ICE agents, moving with urgency and precision, stormed the quiet streets just as the sun was rising, shattering the peace that residents had come to expect in their community. The tranquility of the morning was abruptly interrupted as federal agents transformed a familiar residential street into a scene of panic and fear, their flashing lights and loud commands echoing through the neighborhood. In the midst of this turmoil, Debbie Brockman, a respected WGN TV journalist, was on the scene with her camera crew, determined to document the unfolding events and provide the public with accurate, first-hand information. But instead of being asked to step back or given a warning, Brockman was suddenly and forcefully arrested by agents, her takedown captured on video by shocked neighbors who couldn't believe what they were witnessing. The footage, which quickly spread online, shows a professional journalist being treated with alarming aggression and disregard for her press credentials, all while she was simply doing her job, reporting the news. This was not a protest that had spiraled out of control. It was a planned federal operation. Yet, in the chaos, a member of the press became an unexpected and troubling target. The arrest raises deeply troubling questions about law enforcement's respect for press freedom and the boundaries of their authority when it comes to journalists covering public events. When journalists are detained or intimidated for covering stories of public interest, it threatens the very foundation of democracy and the public's right to know what is happening in their communities. Brockman's arrest is not just a personal ordeal for her. It stands as a stark warning about the vulnerability of press rights and the unchecked power that federal agencies can wield in moments of crisis. The incident unfolded against a backdrop of rising tensions over immigration enforcement in Chicago, with Brockman present to report on these very issues that affect so many families and communities. Her arrest has now become a pivotal chapter in the ongoing debate over immigration, community relations, and the essential role of a free and independent press in holding power to account. The story of Debbie Brockman is one every American needs to hear, a reminder of the importance of press freedom and a call to remain vigilant in defending the rights that protect our democracy. Cell phone footage quickly spread online, capturing the attention of thousands within hours. The video, shaky and raw, was filmed by bystanders who couldn't believe what they were witnessing. It shows the moment two masked federal agents violently forced Debbie Brockman to the ground, their actions swift and aggressive. The force used was shocking, especially since Brockman was clearly there as a journalist, her press badge visible for all to see. The video shows no resistance, just a journalist being overpowered and handcuffed, her hands behind her back as officers pressed her to the pavement. Even as she was pinned down, Brockman calmly identified herself, repeating, "Debbie Brockman, I work for WGN, please let them know." Her voice was steady, despite the chaos around her. Her professionalism was unmistakable, underscoring her role as a credentialed reporter who was simply doing her job. Bystanders reacted with outrage, shouting at the agents and demanding they leave the neighborhood. Their voices rose in protest, echoing down the block. These were ordinary residents, horrified by the aggressive tactics used in their community, many of whom had never witnessed such a scene before. After being handcuffed, Brockman was quickly moved to an unmarked van, ending the public part of her detainment. The crowd watched in stunned silence as she disappeared from view. The entire episode unfolded in minutes, but its impact was immediate and profound, leaving a lasting impression on everyone who witnessed it. The video evidence directly contradicts any claim that this was a routine or justified arrest, raising serious questions about the conduct of the officers involved. It shows a journalist, clearly identified, subjected to unnecessary force, an act that many have called an attack on press freedom. The footage has sparked a citywide and national conversation about law enforcement boundaries and press protections, igniting debates in newsrooms and living rooms alike. The images are a stark reminder of the risks journalists face when covering controversial events and of the vital importance of protecting those who report the truth. In the aftermath, the Department of Homeland Security offered a very different account. Spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin claimed Brockman was arrested for assaulting a federal officer, alleging she threw objects at a Border Patrol car. This grave accusation stood in stark contrast to Brockman's reputation and the video evidence. No footage has surfaced showing Brockman assaulting anyone. Journalists, colleagues, and press advocates immediately questioned the government's narrative, demanding proof. WGN began seeking all available video, including from federal agents, to clarify what happened. The discrepancy between the official story and the evidence is at the heart of the controversy. If the government's claims were true, they needed to provide clear evidence. If not, it suggests a federal agency fabricated a reason to arrest a journalist. The accusation of assault only deepened public outrage and suspicion. Despite the serious accusation, Brockman was released from federal custody just hours after her arrest. No charges were filed, a surprising outcome for such a grave allegation. The lack of charges undermined Homeland Security's initial statement and suggested a lack of evidence. Many saw the arrest as a tactic to remove Brockman from the scene and disrupt her reporting. By releasing her without charges, agents avoided legal scrutiny and the discovery process. This catch-and-release approach is seen by many as an abuse of power. WGN continues to demand all video evidence to clear Brockman's name and understand the full context. Her release is a relief, but without an apology or explanation, questions about the agent's actions remain. The public is left to wonder if this is the new reality for press freedom in America. Brockman's arrest unfolded in front of neighbors, sparking shock, fear, and anger. Longtime residents described the scene as the most frightening thing they'd ever witnessed in their neighborhood. The fear extended beyond Brockman's arrest. It was about heavily armed agents operating with force in a residential area. Many believed the agents were targeting local workers, fueling a sense that anyone could be next. The aggressive tactics and unmarked vehicles made the neighborhood feel like a conflict zone. Onlookers' shouts of protest were a spontaneous defense of their community. In the days that followed, fear turned into resolve, with residents speaking out and supporting each other. The incident galvanized the neighborhood, uniting people around concerns for safety and civil liberties. Brockman's arrest became a symbol of broader anxieties about aggressive, unaccountable federal enforcement. The community's reaction is a crucial part of the story, showing the far-reaching impact of such raids. The ICE raid and Brockman's arrest were part of a larger pattern of aggressive immigration enforcement in Chicago. In the months prior, federal agents had ramped up operations, especially in sanctuary cities. These actions met fierce resistance from activists, community groups, and local politicians. Protests became more frequent, and tensions between agents and residents escalated. Just days before, charges against anti-ICE protesters were dropped after a grand jury refused to indict. This set a precedent, casting doubt on federal claims of assault during enforcement actions. The accusation against Brockman mirrored those dismissed in court, raising questions about the use of such charges. The volatile environment set the stage for the events of October 10th. Brockman walked into a situation already fraught with tension, a microcosm of a national debate. The chaos didn't end with Brockman's arrest. As federal agents sped away, their van scraped a parked car, with the driver still inside, tearing off part of the bumper. This reckless departure added to the sense of disorder and disregard for public safety. Video also revealed another detainee in the van, confirming multiple targets in the operation. The agents' hurried exit suggested a desire to avoid further scrutiny from the crowd. Their actions, violent arrest, property damage, and a frantic escape, only escalated the situation. The operation felt rushed and poorly managed, leaving the community even more alarmed. The day's events left a lasting mark on Lincoln Square. Brockman's arrest came just one day after a federal judge issued a sweeping restraining order designed to protect journalists and protesters from aggressive federal tactics during public demonstrations. The timing was striking, highlighting the tension between law enforcement and the press at a moment when the nation was watching closely. The order specifically barred federal agents from arresting, threatening, or using force against anyone they knew, or reasonably should have known, was a journalist, unless there was clear and documented probable cause for such action. It was a direct response to mounting reports of press being targeted while covering protests. This legal protection was meant to prevent exactly what happened to Brockman, ensuring that journalists could do their jobs without fear of retaliation or interference from authorities. Yet, her arrest appeared to defy the court order, raising urgent questions about whether agents were unaware of the new legal boundaries, or if they chose to ignore the law altogether in the heat of the moment. The restraining order was supposed to act as a shield for journalists, a safeguard for the free press. But in this case, it failed to provide the protection it promised, exposing vulnerabilities in the system. The incident is now a test of the rule of law and the authority of the courts to enforce their own orders, especially when it comes to fundamental rights like press freedom. Legal experts and civil rights groups are watching closely for consequences, warning that a lack of accountability could set a dangerous precedent for future interactions between law enforcement and the media. The arrest challenges not only the separation of powers, but also the effectiveness of judicial oversight in real-world situations where rights are at stake. The question remains, will there be accountability for agents who flout a federal court's command, or will this incident be swept aside as just another clash between press and power? The legal context transforms Brockman's arrest into a national issue for press freedom, sparking debate about the strength of constitutional protections and the willingness of authorities to respect them in times of crisis. Debbie Brockman's arrest is a stark reminder of the importance and vulnerability of a free press. The First Amendment guarantees press freedom for a reason. Journalists hold power to account. Arresting a journalist for doing their job is an attack on the public's right to know. The public's swift outrage, support from journalists, and condemnation by press freedom groups have kept the story in the spotlight. This outcry pressures officials to provide answers and accountability. The incident forces us to ask, do we want a society where journalists are silenced, or one that defends transparency and democracy? The story of Lincoln Square is a call to action, to support journalism, defend press rights, and demand respect for the rule of law. The events of October 10, 2025 are a warning, but the public's response offers hope that press freedom will endure.